Trump returns to correspondents' dinner for a rambling, insult-filled speech 3 months after shooting. From the PEP Radio Newsroom, we have this news from New York. President Donald Trump returned to the rescheduled White House Correspondents Association dinner Friday night, delivering a rambling hour-long speech that praised some journalists, took potshots at others, made jokes about public figures, weight, and intellect, and quipped about a third presidential term. He assured the crowd of journalists, though, that he'd scrapped the most biting parts of his remarks. That was going to be a doozy, Trump said about the speech he'd been prepared to give in April before a gunman upended the original dinner and forced its postponement. As I said 3 months ago, the show must go on, the president said to begin his remarks, hailing the decision to reschedule the dinner. He referred to the attempted mass murder that could have happened that night in April, but then moved largely to humor and insults. Trump's return to the correspondents' dinner and his promise to come back next year as well represented a notable moment in his relationship with the news media, which he has attacked, sued, and taken administrative action against since he began his second term early last year. Among the audience members were reporters he had denounced and barred from other events. Trump's sometimes off-color speech, which lasted just over an hour, was full of vague potshots directed at individuals he doesn't like, from Jane Fonda to Bruce Springsteen to Barack Hussein Obama. The audience, reacting at first with some friendly laughs, slowly quieted to scattered titters as the insults piled up. Among other targets of Trump's humor, late-night hosts Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel, Representative Ilhan Omar, the Democrat from Minnesota, California Governor Gavin Newsom, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and Trump's own speechwriters, whose jokes he sometimes criticized even as he delivered them. Some of the comments flirted with racism. The president also spent some time expressing pride in the ballroom at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, formerly the Trump International Hotel. It's great to be back at a place that I know very well because I built it, Trump said. I had no idea he was a construction worker or any sort of engineer of any kind. He built it? He also made reference to the journalism awards that had been handed out earlier in the evening, most of them for stories challenging him and his administration. Do I have a say in those awards? He asked with a grimace. No, sir, you don't. He made a brief mention of the Iran war and several remarks about the ballroom he is building at the White House. He also used the occasion to joke about the possibility he would serve a third term, something barred by the U.S. Constitution's 22nd Amendment. Just like my presidency, the second time is always better, the president quipped, and the third time will be better yet. He added, I'm only kidding. Then at the end, he donned a red cap that said Trump 2028 and delivered the scoop that he was running again. It was definitely a very different dinner than the previous one. Earlier, Trump had entered the ballroom to polite applause and was thanked for his support by outgoing White House Correspondents Association President Weijia Jiang of CBS News. After dinner, he then sat through more than an hour of awards presentations. One of the winners, Tyler Pager of the New York Times, was in fact one of the reporters who had been subpoenaed by Trump's Justice Department over his reporting about Trump's Qatari gifted Air Force One jet. Those subpoenas were withdrawn on Thursday in a New York courtroom, just one of the arenas where the president, in his second term, has been seeking to control media coverage that displeases him. The rescheduled dinner was taking place at a smaller venue this time that held only about 700 people. Security was markedly tighter. Guests entered via a single entrance, though 2 ID checks and passed a detection dog, armed officers, and security guards. There was no red carpet and no separate cocktail receptions preceding the dinner. Let's try this again, Jiang quipped, welcoming the crowd. The White House press corps, she noted, always have a follow-up. Turning serious, she referred to the trauma and confusion of the original dinner in April. Tonight, our message is this. We are back, she said. We will not be intimidated. We refuse to let an act of violence have the final word. Early in his speech, Trump signaled that he had decided to tone it down, but he kept some zingers, like this one, to the media-heavy audience. This is really the largest group of Trump derangement syndrome people put together at one time. Wow. People received awards for bravery during the April shooting. Besides the pared-down approach, there was another change at Friday's dinner. 2 additional awards. One was presented to Victor Gonzalez, the Secret Service agent who was staffing a security checkpoint in April and was struck in his protective vest. Gonzalez placed himself directly in harm's way and engaged the armed suspect, Jiang said. He stayed in the fight, and the attacker was stopped. A second award was presented to the staff of the Washington Hilton Hotel, site of the first dinner, hailed for professionalism under pressure. The dress code this time was a looser black tie optional, and dinner included grilled peach and burrata salad, lobster, and beef Wellington. The evening, as in April, featured entertainment by mentalist Oz Perlman, who this time got the chance to do his act. Jiang and her fellow board members had worked hard to bring this White House Correspondents Association Dinner 2.0, not wanting to let a violent act or the image of colleagues hiding under tables remain the final thought. Announcing the rescheduling, she emphasized the dinner's stated purpose, a celebration of a free press and the vital role of journalism in our democracy for over a century. But it's also clear that some people felt the dinner should not be rescheduled at all. Many never thought it was a good look in the first place, with the sight of journalists in formal wear cozying up to their sources or the objects of their reporting. It undermines the public faith in how the press does its work, and it makes it look like we are pals with the people we cover. Kelly McBride, an ethics expert at the Poynter Institute, a journalism think tank, said when the deliberations were taking place. The new dinner came at a time of fast increasing tension between the media and a president who, in his second term, has tried to exert pressure on media outlets he is unhappy with in a variety of ways. That pressure has ranged from sanctions against members of the White House press corps to regulatory actions through the Federal Communications Commission to outright lawsuits. Those tensions, by the way, have only escalated since April. Trump, though, ended with an attempt to mend fences, to a point. I have a lot of respect for your profession, he told the assembled journalists. He also touted his own success and declared, when I'm not around, you're all going to be broke. And he concluded about the evening, I didn't know what to expect. It's far worse than I originally thought. That's what we know about this event. And I have to add, we're so disappointed that we at PEP Radio didn't receive an invitation to attend, but on the bright side, we didn't attend the event. From the PEP Radio Newsroom, I'm David Moore.